The United States, a nation that often prides itself as a beacon of the rule of law, is now facing an extraordinary moment. In Washington, D.C., before the halls of Congress, stood a figure whose words would silence the chamber. This was not a politician. This was not an opposition leader. This was Special Counsel Jack Smith, the prosecutor overseeing some of the most sensitive criminal cases in U.S. history. Sworn under oath, Jack Smith declared, "This is not just about one individual. This is a question about the future of the American justice system." Viewers, it is rare in American history for a special counsel to stand openly before Congress and warn about threats to the justice system. But Jack Smith's testimony was not ordinary. It was not based on political statements, but on documented evidence, detailed timelines, phone records, and eyewitness accounts. He made it clear, if these facts are ignored, any future president could claim to be above the law. Jack Smith began by addressing the 2020 presidential election. His testimony showed that Donald Trump was repeatedly informed that he had lost the election. Inside the White House, legal advisors, election experts, and Justice Department officials confirmed the results. Yet, according to Jack Smith, the record indicates that despite knowing the truth, there were attempts to present a false narrative to the public. The matter went beyond statements. According to the testimony, election officials in multiple states received phone calls. They were pressured to change the results. Demands were made to exceed legal authority. Jack Smith emphasized, these were not mere political requests. They were organized efforts to override state systems. This was a moment of tense silence in the chamber. According to Jack Smith, in certain states, fake electors were prepared. These electors were intended to replace the legitimate voters. Documents were crafted to appear official. He warned, this scheme was not just a legal maneuver. It directly threatened the democratic process. January 6, 2021, a day etched in U.S. history. Jack Smith presented phone call logs, messages,
a timeline of contacts.
He explained, the silence that day was not accidental. It was part of a continuous pattern. Key figures were in constant communication throughout the events, showing that the situation was closely monitored and coordinated. This portion of the testimony was both emotional and alarming. Jack Smith revealed, FBI agents investigating Trump, federal prosecutors and government attorneys were targeted with retaliation. One notable case, an FBI agent who had served in war zones was fired just 2 weeks after his spouse's funeral. The words drew a stunned silence across the chamber. He also disclosed that private attorneys working with his team had their security clearances revoked solely because they were representing the special counsel in a sensitive case. He explained, the message was clear. Show loyalty or face consequences. Viewers, the issue of classified documents was not just about files. Jack Smith presented a complete timeline. Transfer of documents, attempts to block their recovery, efforts to destroy security footage. He stated, these were not coincidences. They were a coordinated attempt at obstruction. At the conclusion of his testimony, Jack Smith delivered the core warning of his entire statement. He cautioned, if this behavior becomes normalized, America will move toward a system where loyalty to one individual matters more than the rule of law. He added, this is a pivotal moment. Either the law applies equally to all, or it applies to none. Viewers, this testimony is not about one individual. It is about principle. The question is not who won or lost. The question is, will the law bow to the powerful?
Or will the powerful be held accountable to the law?
This decision will not only be made in courts, but will be judged by history itself. I have been your host. Thank you for watching.